Hi guys, welcome back to the Nevermind Polly podcast. My name is Matt, I'm your host, and we chat to rock and metal bands from around the world. And this week we're going to the lovely Australia to talk to the brilliant Oceanlord. We've got Jason and Peter, and it's like 6 a.m. where they are. So how are we doing this fine morning, gents?
Coffee's making everything okay. That's the strategy.
Absolutely.
I'm not even at the coffee stage yet. I've got to work up to that.
I'm hoping this will sort of break in your day quite nicely, and it's sort of a nice like breather to get things started. But yeah, so we are here to talk about everything that you guys have got going on, but specifically your brand new song, which is called 2340, which I think is fantastic. Just straight off the bat, like, you know, I'm in a very privileged position to sit down and chat with people like yourself. And 9 times out of 10, any offers I get through, I go, yeah, I'll talk to them. Sometimes 1 out of 10 don't make it, but you guys straight away was like, yeah, this band fucking rule. I'm having them on the podcast. So yeah, it's really, really cool. So I wanted, you're fine. I wanted to ask, can you talk me through just that song in particular, because it's got quite a fantastic kind of thematics with it, obviously with the lyrics and the concept and things with that song, and tell people what that song is about, because it's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, sure. The so 2340 is a reference to the time that the Titanic sank. So 11:40 at night. And the story of the song is this idea that the captain was kind of consumed with occult madness, and that, you know, the Titanic was obviously no accident, but the kind of the delusional rage of a man driven to you know, kind of some sort of satanic crisis of sinking his ship. And then at the time we were writing that, was kind of deep into kind of the ascendance of right-wing politics around the world. And a lot of the thinking behind that was kind of how it felt to be sort of sailing on a ship that it seems that all of the captains and the leaders of the ship seem to be really intent on, you know, sinking it for everybody, but at the same time convincing everyone that everything's fine, don't need to worry about anything. Yeah, that was the gist behind that.
See, I obviously the thematics about the Titanic was pretty obvious from the get-go with the video, and everything else, but that whole bit that you've just said makes perfect sense as well. I have not clearly thought about that hard enough the way that you guys have when you wrote that song, but that is wicked. Anything you want to add, Jason, to that?
Well, Pete does all his own lyrics, you know, writes his own lyrics. So, you know, we kind of heard that and went, oh shit, that's brilliant. And I just straight off loved the idea that, you know, the Titanic didn't actually hit an iceberg. You know, it was brought down by something else. I just love that theme. So when we looked at the film clip and how to do that, that's kind of something we went there. Interestingly, and I please, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the riffs from that's in 2340 actually goes back to when we first started doing this band. It was a very, very early riff, and it was one that we just loved and love playing, and it to finally find where it needed to fit and then put it in this track and it be a great track. Really feels good. It's kind of like that long sitting back there thing that finally got its place. And to hear it and see it on things like YouTube and stuff like that is just cool.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Go on. Sorry, Pete, go on.
So I was going to say, I think that's maybe one of our oldest riffs, and it survived 2 or 3 different songs, but we never found a complement to it to complete a song until we were writing the album.
For sure, and that's the thing as well. So I'm just an absolute lover of music. I try to consume music as much as possible, and it always astounds me when you get, you know, we've all got the idea of a 10 out of 10 record. you know, front to back, absolutely. There's no note on that album that is not bad. What I want to know is what got left on the cutting room floor, because there is some gold amongst that stuff that like didn't quite make the record, if that makes sense. So like hearing that you guys have kind of gone, that riff that you played like a few times a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a month ago, however long it was, play that again. Like it's really cool that you kind of look retrospectively at your sort of things that didn't quite make it and didn't quite find a home, if that makes sense. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's very much like that. Like I found we have a lot of tapes and phone recordings of rehearsals and things that we worked on. And it's sometimes fascinating as songs evolve. And I listen to stuff that's 6 months old or 12 months old. And sometimes an older version of the song, I'm like, actually, that bit was really good. Why did we stop doing that bit? And then sometimes we bring that back, and sometimes you just can't kind of fit it into the context of the new song. But yeah, I don't think there really does exist this sense of the best stuff keeps going. It's more that the things that you've managed to fit together to suit the overall narrative of music that you're creating survives. But there's, you know, always stuff that could have been equally as good left abandoned, you know, not because it was bad necessarily, just because you couldn't quite make the song out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing as well, being you guys are in that position where you're musicians, in the sense that no matter what you do in your just day life, you can always pick up a guitar, you can always like sing a harmony, you can always just try and like, you're always kind of overthinking almost, if that makes sense, because there's a thing that I see on social media quite a lot. It's like one of these real things. They say that this isn't my hobby, this is like not a side project, this is my life. And that is kind of like what it is, you know, for musicians and creative people. It's not just a case of this is what I do on the side. Like, I'm always thinking about this. And when I'm not thinking about this, I'm like playing guitar, after I'm noodling doing something else or writing lyrics. It's just, you know, so it's a proper lifetime kind of thing being a musician, and it doesn't really stop when you leave the studio or leave the stage, if that makes sense. So that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
For sure. I wanted to kind of take things back to you, kind of the early days in terms of you guys as musicians and things. Like, what was it like growing up in Australia? And what was it like? What was your sort of tentative steps into music? And where did you what was like the first band you kind of fell in love with?
Wow. Jace, you got a lot on this, I know.
Holy crap. What? Because I'm older? What?
Tell us more about the 50s and the music you listen to.
50s. Look, I was I am a little bit older than Pete. I guess for me, look, music actually wasn't like I had, a long story short, child of divorce. Music was massive for my father, and part of his day job as well as his passion. He had this amazing ability he bought a piano one day, like just bought a piano. It arrived at the house. He'd never learned how to play the piano. He sat at it and he would listen to music, and then within about 10 or so minutes, he'd have it pretty much close. He just had this unbelievable skill, unbelievable quality to be able to hear something and just sit down and play it. I do not.
I want to quickly just interject and say I have a similar story. So about 2.5 years ago, I bought a bass guitar secondhand off the internet, and I was like, I'm going to learn to play bass, and it's now like an art piece. It just sits in my flat, and I've never like touched it since. So I totally get it. Like, it's a hard craft to grab for sure.
Look, you know, the polar opposite. My mum's side was, there's some tapes, there's some radio, you know, there's that. As a teenage boy, my uncle actually would turn up at my house and say, dude, come out in the car and listen to this. And he'd have music that my parents would not particularly appreciate. You know, and I remember vividly Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. He said, come out to the car quick. And we sat there for an hour and we just went, holy crap. So I had these different, you know, competing things, and I had a pretty eclectic range of tunes through my teenage years, like Metallica and Motley Crue, a lot of glam sort of, you know, hairband sort of stuff. But I think for me, what hit me was the grunge movement. It was I was the exact right age. I was it fit for me.
Sure.
And that then, you know, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, of course, the Melvins, stuff like that. And it just sort of from there grew. But I wasn't very good at music. Attempted the piano, the guitar was very average. Ended up Pete and I ended up doing a cover band where I was vocalist. That was a long time. How long ago was that, Pete? 15 years ago?
10, yeah.
So it wasn't until we decided to do this, or the first iteration of this band, that I sort of picked up a bass and took some lessons from Pete, learn how to get around that. I've since taken some lessons from professionals and things like that. So it just, but realistically, what I play is what I play here in the band. I can play a couple of other riffs from other things. I'm not a bass player in the truest sense. But yeah, that's kind of my origin, my exposure as you would to all sorts of different music.
For sure. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, I've got a pretty different story. I grew up in a very religious household, and so music was exclusively kind of mellow Christian rock. And so at a very early age, I learned that if I wanted to listen to something cool, I had to kind of do it in secret. So I grew up kind of borrowing tapes from friends, hoping no one had noticed me in the lounge room with headphones on. And yeah, just discovering everything that all of my friends were into. And so I got into a lot of, grunge was sort of still the big thing in probably the mid 90s. So yeah, got into grunge and then into kind of electronic and then pretty hard electronic stuff, which sort of led me into Portishead and Massive Attack and Lamb and that sort of movement. And then that merged itself into metal, which rapidly became extreme metal, and spent a long time listening to black metal and death metal. And then I don't know, it's maybe 10 years ago I discovered like stoner doom. I'd listened to doom for a long time with bands like My Dying Bride and like Typo Negative and that sort of thing, but yeah, stoner doom sort of came out of nowhere for me. And as soon as I heard the big fuzzy riff, I thought, yeah, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so I'm if people say like, what kind of thing draws you to like heavy music, for me it's just the riff. Just give me Metallica are my favorite band of all time, and they've like shat out some fantastic riffs, and then that's the thing. They just, if it's a good riff, I'm in. And and the only way I can describe it is when you've just got the fucking massive swing on the guitar and just the biggest bollocks just smashing, fucking all about that. So yeah, and the more fuzz the better. Bring fuzz back to music. That's what I want. Bring back the fuzz to heavy music. I'm all about it. So as this podcast will start to go out, so this is going to go out sort of mid-April, sort of May time, when the debut album Kingdom comes out. So I'm totally going to ask you a question which may seem a little bit silly now, but how are you feeling kind of post things kind of in the process of going out and things? How are you feeling? How's the mood in camp?
Excited. Yeah, really excited. It's been a while since we kind of started the journey of getting an album ready and getting it ready to go. So to have everything finally come together and coming out, Jad from Magnetic Eye has been really, really great to work with. So, there's 3 singles for the album that are coming out. 2340 is the first one. And so, yeah, by the time everything's said and done and the albums come out, we'll have had 3 videos that we've worked on and finished, and 3 different singles to release. So heaps of work to do, but it's the sort of creative work that really kind of fills me with.
Are you there? We lost him. We temporarily lost you.
He's frozen.
He's frozen. It's frozen in time. It's the fuzz. The fuzz has got the better of Pete. That's what's happened. We're gonna throw to you, Jason, quickly. Go on while we try to get
That's
Pete
cool.
back.
No, look, everything Pete's saying there is he's back. Is spot on. It's been yeah. Did you want to finish your thought, Pete, while it's fresh?
I don't know where it cut out. I just sort of like gave my big talk, and I didn't know I was cut out for a bit. So
it was good right up to the point where you stopped.
Yeah.
Look, I think you know, to me personally, this is kind of a little bit insane. Like, we got the test pressing and you know, put it on, and track one, the first note you hear is me playing the bass, and as I said before, it's really weird for me because I've been playing the bass for what, 5 years, Pete? I don't know, not long. I'm only just now comfortable saying I'm a bass player, really. So for me, it's just this bizarre thing that, holy crap, this bit of vinyl turning. And I remember my first vinyl, you know, my first record player I had, I must have been about 6 years old. And I got mum's hand-me-down record player, and I was playing, I think, Kiss or something like that on it, or Alice Cooper or something. And to me, it's just bizarre. And seeing some of the great things that people are saying about it, you know, from Europe, from the States, you know, at the moment they're just talking about 2340. Although we did a demo a few years back, just in between two lockdowns in COVID, we did a video demo of one of the tracks, and we got good feedback about that, and it was all very exciting for me, very but still very surreal. Like, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you about it now is just it's a bit strange. Like, it's been us you know, working pretty hard, performing on stages around Australia, but mostly that room you see Pete sitting in is the studio he built, and it's generally the three of us in there, and you know, we're talking about all sorts of stuff, and now we're talking about this with you in the UK, and that's pretty cool.
For sure. And that's the thing as well. It is just, you know, you can give, the fact is people can just do things that, you know, if you've got the creativity bug and you've got that tiny spark of inspirational spark of something, that's all you need, you know, and the rest is obviously hard work, determination, all of the things you both have kind of expressed. But at the same time, if you've got that kind of initial click, that you're good to go pretty much. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of what inspires you in terms of your music, in terms of the band, and just inspires you kind of outside of the band and things influencing your music and things, if you've got anything like that.
Yeah. Jace, do you want to jump on that?
Oh, what inspires me? It actually, it's probably a bit of a loop. I get excited by what I hear, obviously. So, you know, I'll hear some stuff, and Pete and John might say, "Oh, have a listen to this track on this album from whenever." You know, hear this sound, pick, you know, there's something in there that we like, what, you know, what's going on there, sort of thing. And for me, it's that's cool. But then I'll hear something that Pete's dragged out, and it might be a riff that goes for, you know, 5 to 10 seconds or something, and I'm just like, oh, I can hear something there. That's amazing. Like, you know, and there's some of those moments where you just go, wow, I can hear something really awesome. And how cool would it be for this to grow, and what does that mean? And I guess that inspires me. I'm a pretty basic sort of person. I don't go out on roller coasters and shit like that. Those days are gone for me. My kids have grown up. So I get excited by those small moments that just pique my interest musically, and go, oh shit, there's something there. That's something that really gets me going. And then when Pete will play us a recording that he's put together, and this is what I'm thinking about, these riffs together and stuff like that. There's this moment as he's pressing the go button, and you start to hear something coming out of the speakers. It's like, oh, I see where this is going. There's that awesome moment, and it's like, right now, what am I playing? It's like, okay, what comes next? And I do like that. That's the excitement for me. The other thing is playing a gig, whether it's to, a dozen people at a crazy time of night or 100 people, there's a vibe, there's a feeling, and there's a level of, I guess, gratefulness or appreciation that I have, that there's these people that are interested in what we're doing, and they're pleased to be there, and they want to hear it. And afterwards it's, hey, how did you get this sound? And hey, what's this? That inspires me a lot too. So that's from a personal aspect. Yeah.
And that's the thing as well, that I guess a creative person's worst nightmare is kind of indifference. If you're getting people saying, we love this, amazing, that's good. If people are also saying, we fucking hate this, at least you've wound them up. If people just go, okay, like that, the middle bit is what you don't want. It's just kind of like, well, it's okay. Like, do you know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah. I get that from my kids.
There's something about hate that's an interesting energy to have at a gig. Like, I don't know if I would mind a gig full of people that truly hated what we were doing. I think that sounds exciting.
That reminds me of a gig we did, Pete. I won't spill the beans too much, but there's one gig that I'll be honest with you, really honest with you, that I personally feel our gigs have always just incrementally got a little bit better. And when I say that, not just about us playing and our performance, but the engagement with the crowd, all sorts of stuff. But there was one gig that we did somewhere I won't talk about, and it not a problem with the people, all that kind of stuff. Maybe we were just in the wrong lineup or the wrong venue, that kind of thing. But it was like, we finished, right, let's get our gear, let's go. It wasn't quite Blues Brothers with the chicken wire, and it wasn't quite that. But
no, it was us and like 5 grindcore bands.
Yeah, it was just an odd pairing, and Pete might be okay with the hate. I kind of felt a little bit like I gotta go.
I mean, just from a perspective that I can talk about real quickly was, I've done probably in excess of 150, I think, something like that, interviews with bands, everyone from yourselves doing what you do, all the way to like pop bands, all the way to like, grindcore bands. And sometimes I'll get off a call and go, that was fucking terrible. Like, I feel like I done terribly. They didn't give me enough. But then I'll get an email from their PR person going, yeah, they loved it. And I was like, really? Like, do you want to tell them they loved it? Do you know what I mean? Put a smile on someone, like, but like, that's the thing. It's personal perception, isn't it, of these things? But yeah, I think, I'm sure you guys are doing fucking great. So don't be so hard on yourselves. I love that. Do you have any inspirations and things, Peter, about music and things?
Yeah. There's I love when I listen to music and I hear something and think, I didn't know you could do that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a band, and it's always, it's usually something on the fringes of music styles, where I get that feeling. But like, there was a band called Lightning Bolts, who are a bizarre 2-piece improvised, just chaos. I don't know if you've ever kind of seen their things, but their best experience live, and second best to that is a live video of them playing. And I've never really bothered with their recordings. It seems to be like a dead and killed version of their music. But hearing that and seeing that, and then just that thought of, I didn't know you could do that, but it turns out you can. Yeah. And one of the inspirations of starting the band is Jason and I were out for an evening on the beers, and this Australian band, Dr. Colossus, were playing, and they're an amazing band. Nice. Yeah. So they're an incredible band, and they've been around for ages and ages, but it was pretty early on in their career when we first saw them. And they were just this 2-piece, and I think the guitarist was playing a guitar that was split into a bass amp and a regular amp, with this huge fuzzy feeling. And they played, their opening notes, and Jason and I, our heads were both instantly captivated. But yeah, that thought, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah. I didn't know that you could just kind of like crush it with a massive, fuzzy, huge riff and drums, and that's enough to carry not just a song but a whole set of music. And yeah, just those moments of realizing that there's far more to music than what I've heard so far. And then that brings that inspiration to sometimes I'm thinking, how can I incorporate that into music that I'm thinking of writing, and trying to kind of work out ways of bringing that in. Like, I think one of the inspirations behind a lot of the bass lines and the way the bass sits in our music came from listening to a band called Solstafir.
I love Solstafir.
Oh yeah,
such a great band.
And something I love about their music is they have these catchy, sneaky bass lines that sit underneath kind of this chaotic music, but the bass line can be quite driving, and meanwhile there's all this chaos happening on top, and the guitars are all over the place, and the vocals are like going crazy and all that sort of stuff. But it's like this bass that's holding it all together, and it's not kind of it's not showy bass, it's not a million fills and bass solos and that sort of thing. It's just this solid groove that kind of keeps the song moving. So yeah, hearing them do that, I thought that would be really cool to incorporate into the sort of riffs and things we were writing. And yeah, so it's generally that I'll be hearing a band do something and think that's cool. Yeah.
I love that. I was going to say, I had a similar experience when I first I tried to fall in love with Dillinger Escape Plan. It was just absolute fucking chaos. But then once you find something to kind of latch onto, because you kind of have to, like, with something like that, you have to like focus on one particular thing, or otherwise it's just all noise. And you pick out the little parts, and you're like, okay, I'm just focusing pure on the drums. He's a fucking sick drummer. Just focus on the drums. Then add the guitar, and then it starts to make sense. So it makes complete sense. So I've got a couple of final questions before I let you go, gents. And one of which, and you guys being Australian, I'm sure that you will understand that this is somewhat sarcasm, because Americans don't seem to understand sarcasm for some reason. Don't know why. Basically, when I'm a big, massive, famous podcaster and I have loads of money and everything else, and I can create my own festival, right? I'm going to invite every band that's played, every band that's been on the podcast to play at the festival. Now, this has started, I've started doing this in 2023. So you are like number 10 or 11th band I have on the show in 2023. And I want to know what you would like to add to the dream rider of my dream festival when I'm a big, massive, famous podcaster. So to give you a little bit of context, we've got everything as simple as, I interviewed a punk rock guitarist, and he said, I just want to turn up. I'm like, that's fine. I can live with that. All the way through to like white wine, bean bags, a sauna. Someone, so he's going to hate this, but the guitarist of a deathcore band called Of Sulphur said to me, he wants a petting zoo, like a full-on petting zoo. And I'm like, yeah, I can make that happen, right? But the best part about that sentence is the fact he then went, yeah, I love koalas. And I was like, I'm pretty sure koalas don't qualify as petting zoo animals, but we'll rock with it. So yeah, anything's on the table. What would you like?
Well, jousting.
So, okay, we're gonna have to dive a little bit into that. So, like, you're on horseback.
On horseback, yeah.
Okay, amazing. Like proper Knights of the Round Table style.
Yeah, I reckon that would be an amazing warm up, like to get ready for a show, to have a quick joust, and then get on the stage, right? And because you're either getting on victorious, right? That would be great, or super wrecked from just being jousted into the ground. I think that'd still be pretty cool, like a good way to start a set. Yeah,
I love that. So that's there, jousting. That's probably the best one I've had so far. So that's going on. Jason, do you have one you want to add as well?
After hearing that, I'm going to say first aid 10. So it's like, Holy shit.
A practical man. I like it. Practical. It doesn't have to be outlandish.
I'm actually going to go back to your previous comment about the koalas. Look, absolutely, you can get koalas that you can pat and you can pet, but you get some koalas that you do not want to touch.
Yeah.
And I've experienced a couple of them that, and just to be clear, not in my backyard. I've had to really travel to find them. It's not like koalas and kangaroos in our backyard anymore. Not that it ever was, but people used to think that. I remember when the internet first sort of came out and people are messaging, "Oh, if you got koalas in your backyard," no. Shit, but I love a petting zoo. I love goats in a petting zoo, like baby goats in a petting zoo.
We'll just have
bring it on.
We'll have to keep the black metal bands away from the goats, though. That's the only.
Yes,
problem.
yeah.
They can have to be ring-sided away from those things because
that's it. Yeah. but yeah, I was, when you first said a rider, I'm thinking, okay, M&M's, grapes, what sort of shit would you like? Jousting, okay.
I don't ask for a lot.
No. Probably a smaller horse.
We'll just get a pony for you, and we'll just get a full stallion for everybody else. I love that. That's probably we've killed Jason off. Just so everyone knows he's
it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I haven't laughed like this for a long time.
Awesome stuff. And I wanted to just finish on a final question. And after the hilarity of that question, we're going to bring it back down a little bit. And it's simply a question I ask every guest who's been on this podcast. And that is simply, what is the best thing about being in a band / being a musician? And you can take that as seriously as you like, or as just, it's fun to hang out with my friends. All works.
Hey, you go first.
Having an outlet for all of my crazy obsessions is really good, and the people I get to do that with, and the people I get to meet, and like my obsessions run everything from how do I make weird sounds with my guitar, all the way through to I've recently started doing a bit of lighting and sound at shows, and it turns out people just let you do that. Like there's not a lot of gatekeeping in all of that, and so that's been amazing. Like, it's been amazing to meet people and hang out at a gig and just be part of a community where everybody's excited that there's just other people who also like the things that they like, and just being able to spend time in that environment, and for me especially doing stuff in that environment, I'm just always so full of energy that just having something to do helps me out. But love it.
Awesome stuff. How about you, Jason?
Just remind me of the question again.
Basically, just what is the best thing about being a musician / being in a band?
I think the band, the band itself is awesome in the sense of, we can get together and rehearse, and you can practice in your room. I practice here at home, and I think coming together and practicing in the rehearsal studio that Pete's in there, there's, and as a band, like, there's a bit of business involved, and the business can cause,
of course,
discussion that people may not agree on. But the interesting thing is that we pick up our instruments and we play our music, and it sort of just falls away, and you get into the music, and you get into, I get into the groove, I get into the feel, my brain sort of just goes into a few different places, and then it just sort of brings you together a bit, and it's got that feel. And then when you take that and you play a gig, you open that up to not just us, but there's a whole bunch of other people as well. And for in that time, it's kind of like, I'm not so foolish and naive to think that everything else just falls away. But mostly you're not thinking about paying the rent. You're not thinking about the damage the repair you got to do to your car or something like that. You're just enjoying or just feeling it, and a whole bunch of people doing that at the same time is pretty damn cool. To then be a part of the creation of that is pretty damn awesome too. And when you see other people in the crowd sort of going, yeah, we're into this too, dude. So wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I had pretty, we talked about our goals when we first started this, and my goals are pretty low. I there's a particular pub in this town that I went, I want to play there. That's that's my goal. And I think it was their second gig we played there. And the guys are like, well, what now? And I'm like, well, shit, I don't know. Like, let's just keep doing this. So I think there's a real there's an awe to me, and a little bit of frightening too. So I think that getting to do that and just progress and just keep doing things like that, and seeing that other people like what we do is pretty cool, pretty inspiring, and I like a beer.
Yeah,
it helps it when we. It helps it when we go to these places that we're allowed to play our music. They also sell beer, so it works out well.
Absolutely, I love that, and I can relate in the sense of when I first started this podcast, I had two co-hosts that were my very close friends. This was during the pandemic lockdown things. The world opened up. They were like, I've got a wife, I've got a kid, I've got to do this, got to do that. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So I just reached out to a couple of people who I know who are in bands, and I was like, do you want to do this? And then basically the floodgates just sort of opened and haven't really shut since. And I'm like, someone somewhere is going to come on my shoulder and nap me on the shoulder and go, what the fuck are you doing here? But at this point, I'm too far in. It doesn't matter. I've entrenched myself. I'm like a Trojan horse to bring it back to
that's awesome.
Horses and whatnot.
It's awesome. And interesting you say about the pandemic, that I think a lot of people sort of went, oh shit, this is peculiar. What's going to happen now? So podcasts, I started doing some basic interviews myself, just to local bands and stuff, just to sort of keep things going, things, and it's opened it up a little bit. And I really think worldwide, there's a little bit more shit. I've got my day job, but what else do I enjoy in life? What else? Where do I want to open up to do other things? Do I want to paint? Do I want to do this? And I think people are a little bit more excited about doing that. So and I hope it stays that way. I really do. I really hope it keeps going. I hope people just say, well, that's my day job over here, but I really want to do this. So just do it. I'm 48, and I never would have thought, if you'd gone back to a 6-7-year-old kid and said, hey, one day you're going to be on an album, I would have said, nah, bullshit, and I would have said that all the way through my 20s as well. So the idea now that you just do it, if you enjoy doing it, do it. It's great.
I always, my other half and my friends, my family always say that I'm sort of like, maybe like a chronic depressive when I say this, but it's not meant in a depressing manner, but it's simply, we all have a very small amount of time. Why not now? Fucking, if you've got the means, if you haven't got the means, but you've got the ambition, just do it. And what's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, not everything fits that quota, by the way. If you're thinking about doing something bad, probably don't do that. You get my point. Anyway, I'm
caveat on that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this has set your day up nicely rather than hindered your day, as it is quite early for you over there. But is there anything that I've missed? Anything I need to plug? Anything you want to say at the end that I may have need to talk about?
No, thank you so much for having us. It's been brilliant, and we'll keep on plugging our album. The album's Kingdom. The singles are 2340. I'll leak it for the first time here. The second single has come home, and by the time this is coming out, third single is probably going to be soon. So it's going to be an exciting ride.
Absolutely. And I'm going to absolutely hound your PR people. Just be like, can I have that album, please? I really want it. Like, I just like, so I think I get sent the single. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Where's the rest of it? I'm one of those people. But yes, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This has been my conversation with Jason and Peter of the band Oceanlord. We will see you next week. Thank you very much, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks, Matt.
Peace.